Today we are opening an exhibition called Searching for the Gold, meaning that we're searching always in whatever industry or whatever sphere of life we're in. We're always searching for that which is durable and which is meaningful. In the gallery, we're having two particular artists whom we're featuring, Gary Maslein and Roxanna Melendez. Gary is an interesting artist because he is someone who was interested in his youth in becoming a filmmaker, and then took on the law and also became a painter. So he is someone who has many perspectives, and I'm going to ask him to come and join me so that we can look at some of his work. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
So, Gary, since this is a very informal and almost improvisational afternoon, because as you know, we have just recently become a digital hub. So here, let's walk and take a look at some of your work.
All right.
Let's start with the image that we're showing as an image for the show.
This is called At Day's End, and I hope that the figure's face portrays the weariness not only that we would experience at the end of a lot of days, but also recent times. We've had a lot of tumult, a lot of things that are emotionally and mentally as well as physically exhausting. So at day's end, perhaps there's some indication with the setting sun that the next day might be better, but the weariness for sure is on his face.
That's great. I know that a number of people think that you have actually done a portrait of some famous people, among them Paul Newman. Is that the case?
It is funny. This is not a portrait. You know, I invented the face, but I do see the similarity that other people see to not only Paul Newman, but Prince Harry. Even I'm trying to think of the other. Hank Williams was the furthest stretch.
Wow.
And George Bush.
Yeah. I love the way you have the light coming through the trees. Light is very important to you. And if we look at the two paintings that we have behind, tell us something about the light. How does the light work there?
Well, this painting is called Forest Formal, and the light is important. You're correct there. I tend to think of the deep forest as being dark, but it's nice to be able to conceive of the illumination that comes through the trees, even though they're massive and they're dark. The figure intentionally is facing away from us because I wanted people to wonder, well, who is she and what is she doing? As opposed to, oh, I know who she is if they're looking at her face or putting some meaning on her face. So the light was important. You're correct in noting that.
And this one shows a landscape that you enjoy working with, and that's a landscape that reminds one of the Southwest.
My palette is anchored in the Southwest. As a teenager, I spent time in New Mexico, and that's actually where my artistic heart is, New Mexico and Arizona to some degree as well. This painting is called Desert Studio. And this part, of course, is the light showing from inside the studio, but the evening light is important to me because I'm very fond of the desert at night. I like to ride horses in the desert at night when I can. And so I tried to marry that tendency that I have to gravitate to horseback riding in the desert with a sense of artistry that comes from the light.
Now, the latest piece that you've done is here in this wall, and above it is not New Mexico, but Barcelona, I guess.
Yes.
So these are two images that have been informed, I think, by experiences you've had, a trip to Barcelona,
Yes.
perhaps more than one, And what is that recent one that you completed? What are you saying?
This small painting is called COVID Sunset. And the two nurses are intentionally depicted in what some would see as older nursing garb, but I wanted there to be no question about who they are. And nurses during the current pandemic, they've seen everything. They've seen horrible suffering, but they've also seen wonderful, experiences with people who've gotten well. So the empty bed is symbolic of one or the other, and the viewer will decide what it means to them. And the idea of sunset, obviously another day is coming, and hopefully it'll be a good one.
So the sky is it's a sky full of different meanings. It can be read like the beds in different ways. It's a very powerful image. It's very vibrant. What were you feeling when you were doing that?
Well, I wanted to pull the viewer away from the drama of the nurses and the empty bed, whether, again, it represented an empty bed because someone has passed away, or perhaps someone has been discharged successfully. So I wanted to somehow develop equal drama to balance that. And so there's a very dramatic sunset.
Right. Now, this one may be close to you in the sense that this other of your paintings, in the sense that it speaks about retirement. And there seems to be a joyfulness with that new stage in life. Is that something that you have felt since retiring?
It's called entering retirement, and I definitely have been enjoying retirement. I've been retired for 10 years, but I still remember when I left, and I was weary. I had quite enough of the stress of this and that. Being an attorney brings its own drama to every day, week, month, what have you. The cases either have impact for people's lives or something having to do with perhaps their estate or whatever. So I looked at life in the rearview mirror as a journey, and retirement is one phase of that. And this fellow has already, you see, he's already partly out of the frame, so he's entering the new phase symbolically there with his foot being out of the frame.
And are those fish on his left? What's on his right? My left.
No, it's just more rock strata erosion.
Is that right? Oh, I see. Because I've been interpreting this as somehow being in the desert, but with an ocean next to it. And I'm saying, well, yes, why not? It could be. We could be in the Middle East. I
always love the variety of interpretations that people have. And sometimes I'm intentionally vague. But in this case, there's erosion taking place along the rocks. You see them coming there. And it's swift water, again, connoting the movement that is our life journey.
And the thing is that your paintings are not exactly a kind of picture of the main actor or of the space. You are really giving enough figuration so that one can place oneself, but sometimes your paintings are slightly surrealistic. Other times they're strong abstract elements in it.
Well, I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because I heard you mention earlier when you introduced me about my film background. In college, I was part of the film community, and I took art history classes, but I wasn't painting them at all. And if you think about my work now, color and line or drawing, I'm making films one frame at a time now. There's a lot of narrative or story in what I do. So thanks for bringing that up.
That's really great. So I'm going to bring us to another artist now. Thank you for giving us an idea of some of the things that you see in your own paintings. We are open. We closed, the gallery closed, as you know, in March of 2020. And we are now opening, of course, by appointment. So if anyone is interested in looking at the work, we would accept an appointment for either a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon. All you have to do is contact us and hope that they can enjoy some of this work as well as some of the work that we have from you online.
Well, seeing the work in person, of course, is the best experience. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about it.
It's great. Yeah. I'm supposed to be chatting with Roxanna Melendez now, but it appears that she is not online yet. So I'm going to make a slight switch in our schedule, and I'm going to ask Karen Kanyer. Is Karen there?
Yes.
I'm going to ask Karen to join us. Karen Kanyer is a painter who does a lot of collage. And this piece is part of a series that has been collaged from photographs that she made in a place she owns in Umbria, in Italy. And so there are a number of images that we have. She also likes rhythm and repetition. So you often see certain things being repeated in her paintings. She is joining us by Zoom. So from her studio in Brunswick, which is not that far away from here, but nonetheless, we thought that it would be a good idea to keep a certain distance. Let me move over to where the laptop is so that we can talk with Karen. You're in your house, but are you in your studio or are you in the house?
I'm in my studio. I'm in the studio right now.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So your studio is a terrific studio. I've been there. And of course, I've said that it's a little bit dangerous because it's an old, is it a farmhouse as such or barn?
It's a barn. It's a barn that was it was a working farm many years ago, but now my husband and I use it as studio space. He's a painter as well.
So let me ask you something. You used to be the department chair at one point at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute of the art department, and you've been involved in teaching there, and you retired. Are you still teaching?
No, I retired in 2019, right before everything blew up in with the pandemic, and I have not taught since then, and I'm very happily retired.
So how do you organize your days? Do you paint every day? Are you like a musician who practices every day?
I try to. My ideal day is a day when I do chores in the morning. I might I don't know if I have to go to the market or pay bills. I do those things in the morning, and then I like to go down to the studio right after lunch, and I spend some time in the studio reading and looking at things and getting in the mood to paint. And then I paint in the afternoon and late afternoon until dinner time. And I try to keep to that schedule as much as I can. I'm not a morning person. I get up, but I'm not ready to paint first thing.
One of the things that I'm always interested in is what would make you feel that you have accomplished a magnificent piece? What kind of critique, if you want, or what kind of reaction would make you feel that in fact you have actually done something that is what you hoped and beyond what you hoped?
Well, usually I I'll get an idea for something. I work from observation, but I also work from my imagination. And in either case, I start with an idea and push the paint around, and it's very rough in the beginning because I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing and how to find the formal means to make the feeling that I have about the subject come alive. And I think that the time when the work starts to have some quality is when I start working automatically. That is to say, I get so absorbed in the work that I don't really know what I'm doing. I just start responding to the painting, and it moves me to be doing that, and I become very absorbed. And usually I find that when that experience starts to unfold, the work starts to become good.
It's like an altered state of consciousness that you're in.
Yeah,
So
it is like that. Yeah.
Yes, that's great to hear. I'm assuming that you're in the middle of some projects. You want to show us something from your studio, or you want to keep it as a background?
I pulled out a few things. Most of my work is wrapped up right now, but I actually pulled out the things that are up are, I don't have anything current up, but the things that I pulled out are three little paintings that go with the one that you have. That painting that you showed a little while ago is from a series of paintings I made. Let me see, how do I do this? Can you see that?
Okay, that's perfect, because that one sort of lines up really nicely with the one that I showed that's here in the salon.
Right. And it was a series of 10 paintings I made. It's a collage really with paint on it. Near my house in Italy, there's the road that I have to drive down to get to the house, get up to the house. It's high up. It's this beautiful landscape, and I always noticed how it's almost like a motion picture when I'm moving down the road. The hills and trees and folds in the landscape start to move in a very interesting way. And I wanted to make a series of paintings that would capture that feeling of motion. And I only unwrapped 3 of them, but I think you have number 10 in the gallery, and this is number 7, 8, and 9. And if you can imagine them lined up, they are supposed to capture that feeling of movement through the landscape. And I'm also interested in juxtaposing things from the deep past, such as this piece of Greek sculpture, this mythological creature, and then the Cinquecento, a 20th century car that's so symbolic of Italy, of the Novecento. And
I really want to see what else you do when you, at the end of the summer, when you're back. And it's great. I hope we can have perhaps a session in your studio at some point, so that we can go through some of your pieces and talk about them. I could spend the rest of the hour with you, but I have to move on now to another artist.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Well, and thank you, Laudalina, and congratulations on this wonderful anniversary. You've done so much for the cultural atmosphere of Troy, and we all really appreciate your accomplishment in the gallery.
That's very nice of you. Okay,
Thank
I'm going to move to Roxanna Melendez.
Hello, I'm
Roxana,
here. I'm here under somebody else's name.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Glad to
So
be
we want to
here.
go through some of the work that you've got on the walls here. We want
Okay.
to get a sense of what's happening with them. This
Okay.
one is Huellas. What is Huellas?
Huellas are crabs, Puerto Rican crabs, actually.
And this is made out of wood and some kind of old
Yes, it's an old frame from a window, and I also like creating art on found objects. So I saw the frame and I figured, okay, this is one of my paintings, and I proceeded to create something for it.
There's some uvas playeras here. There's some uvas
Yes.
playeras, no?
They're these grapes that are typical of the beaches in Puerto Rico, and they're called uvas playeras. And I remember so well when I was a child with my family, we used to go to the beach to pick up these grapes, which were really fantastic, the taste. And actually, people sold them in the streets wrapped in this paper. And so they hold like a nice place in my memory lane, and also the crabs, because we used to go hunting for crabs at the beaches way, way late at night. So that painting has...
that's a piece that I really love. And this one is a self-portrait, no?
Yes, it's one of my portraits. Yes.
And why do you have these images of musical instruments?
I feel very close to music, and I also wanted to show something about my roots. And the maracas and the güiro is like very typical of the culture in Puerto Rico. And I usually have a lot of them lying around because I love using them, particularly during the Christmas season. So it was a way of just letting people know, yes, I am from Puerto Rico.
And in your studio, do you actually have Café Bustelo cans?
Yes, I do. I do. That's an icon of Puerto Rican culture, if I may say so. I'm not implying that everybody likes coffee, but most people have like a connection to coffee. And when I came to New York City, the Bustelo and different varieties of coffee, but the Bustelo in particular had a special place. It seemed like everybody wanted to have una tacita de café, a cup of coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, at any time of day. And so I have empty cans for my brushes and things like that in the studio.
That's a great one. Tell us about Silvia Resage.
Well,
we're now moving to Silvia Resage.
Yeah, well, Silvia Resage was famous. She held many different roles, actually, in the culture of Puerto Rico. She was a comedian at some point, an actress, but she was best known, in my opinion, for her music. And she sang all these amazing romantic songs from yesteryear. And I looked at some of her pictures, and there was one that I particularly liked, where she was smoking a cigarette, but it didn't quite capture the way that I wanted to express her. And then I found a nicer picture, and I just put the cigarette on her mouth. So she is someone that holds a place in people's hearts because of the music that she sang. during the
That is
time
fantastic.
in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, that's a fantastic, iconic image. I want to move now to this piece, which is a more recent piece of yours.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, that was of a political content. I was so affected by the January 6th, attack at the Capitol. And I just went to the studio and I just started trying to express what was going through my mind. And so I captured a little bit of the Capitol and then all these different kinds of people that, they wanted to express themselves, but they were very violent and so I was taken back. And mind you, January 6th is a special holiday in Puerto Rico. It's the Epiphany, the Three Kings. And so I was in a different headset, and then this happened, and forever it's kind of warped my whole sentiment of January 6th. So there's this person who's screaming out loud, holes in his face, maybe bullets, and the congregation of people just, making their opinions heard, but, damaging a lot of what we've held sacred for so many years.
Roxanna, thank you so much for being with us and
Thank you.
sharing your work with us and talking about it.
Thank you for having me.
Anyone who wants to come and visit, just email us and set up an appointment to look at the work. Of course, the work is for sale as well. So, that's a hint, hint. I'll be talking with you. Take care. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
So we're moving now into another part of the gallery. This is a salon, and we're really happy to be joined here by Anne Hogenstein, who is both an artist and a poet. I asked, I've always been interested in the arts in general, and particularly the way the arts sort of speak to each other. So the visual arts are complementary to other kinds of arts. In my case, I have studied a great deal of literature more than anything else, and so I love Anne's work. She's a fantastic poet. She's a very good artist as well, and we've had readings here. So I asked her to do something for the anniversary, the 20th anniversary. And here she is with us. And tell me how long you've been writing poetry.
A long time. My first book came out back when the earth was burning. And then I didn't write for a very long time, because I had studies in between. And then there was a sad event in my life. Then on my way to work, driving to work, this poem just sort of started to form in my head. So I wrote it down, and from then on I've been writing in spurts, probably is the best way to say it. So.
Well, that's terrific because it says something about the rhythm of poetry. No. And do you do the same when you're doing any kind of painting? Does it come in spurts for you?
I probably would. I have more experience as a poet, both as a critic, such as yourself, and as a writer, and so I'm more comfortable with that. I'm more comfortable saying, well, that was terrible, and just tossing it or taking 2 words from a 5-line poem or whatever. When I paint, I'm trepidatious and lack confidence. So I do it for the joy of it, not because I think there's merit necessarily to it. But
And I
anyway,
must say that I really like the nude that you did
thank you,
in the exhibition.
thank you.
And I think that there may be a whole series there.
There is.
Interesting way of depicting the female body. So do you want to read us the poem, or you mentioned that you might want to do something else besides reading?
Well, I'm fine with the reading, thank you.
Okay.
This is a short poem that goes with the painting, the nude. And the poem will accompany the painting, or I suppose the painting will accompany the poem in my next book, which will be out right at the end of the summer. And it's an alphabetarium, which is a book that is essentially A is for apple, B is for boy. This particular alphabetarium is entitled Alphabetarium Forma Perfecta, which of course is about the female form. And this is for the letter L. L is for love. My harbor moves in waves. My dreams reveal regret. My flesh becomes a glowing globe, mornings facing you.
Thank you so much, Anne, for
My pleasure.
writing this poem.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, and I also want to thank at this point, I want to thank all the artists who have participated in searching for the gold. I actually thought we had reached 40, and we're a little under 40 artists that are in our virtual exhibit. And it's the artists that bring that kind of perspective, a very different perspective. When I opened the gallery, I said I will not show an artist whose work I do not like. And I must say that in the 20 years, I have kept that. I like the work of the artists that I show. As I mentioned when I was talking with Karen, there's some people who sort of get me someplace in my heart, but I like all the artists that I show. And I would not show anyone whose work I was not happy with. And so the artists provide me with a sense of life and a sense of that which is enduring, which is why I named the exhibition Searching for the Gold. For this exhibition, I called on a group of friends and I said, would you like to be a sponsor? And so one of the sponsors is here. He might be a little embarrassed that I'm pointing him out, but but this is Robert Matthews. Robert is both a man of letters because he is of the library. So there are many letters, many books associated with Bob. Bob is also a collector, and he's one of the sponsors of this particular exhibition. And we're really happy about that because it has allowed us to provide not only this Zoom session, but also the exhibition itself that is online. If you want to see the exhibition online, all you have to go is go to www.martinezgallery.org and look for the virtual exhibition. That's on our website. And I already received a couple of reactions to the exhibition. This morning, someone said it's awesome, which is I suppose the highest compliment you can give nowadays. Thank you so much. I think that our time has come to an end. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to be doing some of this. We are also inaugurating a channel, a YouTube channel. I want you to meet two of the students with whom I work. Here's Hannah, who is a curatorial assistant.
Hello.
And this is Angela, who is also she's the electronic arts person. I'm being told that before we go, we actually have another poet, Lucy Klepch, who's a iconic figure here in Troy, is a poet, and she is indisposed today, but she gave me the poem in a recording. So we're going to say goodbye with Nancy's words, and I hope to see you soon.
Impatient, confronting an ancient accident, an irregular and unholy crack in our foundation. With these bricks and mortar, we are into the muddy. We are almost sacred in our destruction. Miracles happen every day when milkweed shimmies through the sidewalk cracks. She hustles and struts through the gray ground gravel to drive my attention. Look, I'm here. Look, I'm queer. Look, I'm befriended. I regenerate like time, glorious and resilient, into sweet tincture, oregano, my rich loam, steaming with life, that kind. Ground earth without errors and blunder, we are ash, scattered like seed. Unearth yourself, become an impatient bloom and branch, burst bright flower, you are the growing zone. I am my garden, seed to soil, to this palace, my table, let's eat.